We'll go ahead. We will go ahead and get started. I know some other folks will probably be joining. Very quickly, welcome to our FY26 legislative session review. We're going to get started. We're first going to provide instructions for our Spanish interpretation so that folks, as they join, can get interpretation. Alejandro is our interpreter. Those instructions are now in the chat.
I can give them verbally as well.
That would be great.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm just going to give instructions for Spanish interpretation really quick. Hola, buenos días. Mi nombre es Alejandro. Yo soy el intérprete. Muy rápido les voy a dar las instrucciones para activar la interpretación en español. Si están en una computadora, en la parte de abajo de la pantalla van a ver un globo que dice interpretación. Le pueden dar clic a ese globo y después interpretación y después español y listo. Si no aparece el globo, posiblemente esté la opción bajo los 3 puntos que dicen más. Desde un teléfono, iPad, tablet, algo así, tendrán que tocar la pantalla para que aparezca un menú en la parte de abajo. Allí van a deslizar buscando 3 puntos que dicen más. Le dan clic a más, luego interpretación, luego español y listo. Les clarifico igual que los subtítulos no se traducen, tiene que ser la parte de interpretación. Cualquier cosa me pueden escribir y yo los ayudo. Okay, hopefully we are all set.
Thank you so much, Alejandro. Let's go to the next slide. So those Spanish interpretation instructions were just given. So now it is my honor today to welcome everybody to our FY26 legislative recap. We want to welcome everybody. My name is Angela Farwig. I am the Vice President of Public Policy Advocacy and Research here at Illinois Action for Children. And I do want to welcome everyone to this webinar. We'll do some quick intros on the next slide, but for everyone joining us, we'd love if you could take a moment, if you're able to type your name and organization into the chat. And we have a pretty fun icebreaker today. If you'd like to share in the chat, would you rather have every traffic light turn green or always have the best parking spot? I will share for myself that I am a very strong preference for the first option here, traffic light turn green. I like to drive and not stop. So that is me and tells you a little bit about me maybe. So please, everybody do add your name and organization and the icebreaker into the chat. And if anybody would very quickly like to come off mute and say hello, we'll give a minute or two for that. All right, I'm seeing some interesting responses here. A lot of traffic light greens, a few people that like to have parking.
One other thing, also, if you guys would like to explain why you guys are choosing it, it'll be fun as well.
Yeah. Struggling with parking. Yes, absolutely. All right, well, folks are doing that. We can, I think, move on to the next slide. And I wanted to take a minute actually just to stop here and introduce the folks that are on the policy and advocacy team here at Illinois Action for Children. Everyone's name is up on the screen. Everyone who's on this webinar, as I call your name, maybe just wave so folks know who you are. That would be great. I know we have a lot of content to cover, so I don't want to spend too much time on this. But of course, I'm Angela Farwig. I'm the Vice President of PPRA. We're also joined today by Celia Bartel, our Advocacy and Engagement Associate, Michael Kim, our Director of Public Policy, Aman Kathadia, PPRA Project Manager, Naoma Nagahawata, Assistant Director of Advocacy, Crystal Salas, Policy Associate, and Bree Stormer, our Senior Policy Engagement Specialist, who is out of the office today, but a very important member of our team. So that's our team. There's a photo of us at Advocacy Day, some of us in the Capitol in the spring. So we're just really excited to meet with all of you and want you to know who we are so we can get to know you all better and really appreciate you being with us today. I think now I kick it over to Michael to review the agenda.
Yeah, thanks, Angela. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining us for our end of the year legislative recap. I always like to say this is going to be the best hour and a half of your day for this Wednesday. So we have a lot of stuff to go over, and I hope that you enjoy some of the information that we are able to share with you guys all. So as you can see, there's the agenda in front of you. We will go over some of the state budget that just passed in May, some of the important legislative policies and bills that were passed as well. Then we'll have a 5-minute break. And then what we're going to spend the majority of our time doing is talk about some of the licensing reform that is currently being undertaken through the Department of Early Childhood as licensing responsibilities move over to IDAC. As you guys have seen emails from Ann Whalen from IDAC, there's going to be a lot of conversations around licensing reform. So we wanted to gather your input and your thoughts on what currently is working, what needs change and reform, and then obviously collect all this stuff so that we can provide some provider information to IDAC as they again work on this issue. So I'll talk about that a little bit more as we go through, and then we'll end our time with some ways that you guys can keep working with us and advocating and joining us in any of the work that we will do. We'll be doing this continuing this year into next session. So yeah, before we do that, I'm going to hand over to Crystal Salas, our policy associate, for her to just kind of go over some of the numbers in terms of advocacy work that we did this year, and to be able to honestly thank you all for being part of our advocacy work and making these specific changes that we were able to make this year. A lot of the work that we were able to accomplish couldn't have been done without you all. So we just want to share some of that input with you all. So I will hand over to Crystal, and then we will go towards our budget overview after that.
Hello, as Michael said, I'm going to be sharing some exciting numbers that we were able to accomplish thanks to a lot of your advocacy. During our legislative year, we were able to get over 588 Illinoisans to take action and over 1,751 messages that were sent out to Illinois general members. And then this year, in our advocacy year, which we held in April, we had over 370 participants who attended. This is a really great turnout. And one of our major bills that we advocated this year that improved childcare licensing had nearly 750 advocates who submitted witness slips in support. And in our social media messages across Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, we had over 9,000 likes, comments, and shares. Like I said, these are all thanks to advocates like you. And now I'll be passing it back to Michael, who will be going over our budget.
Thanks, Crystal. Yeah, so again, thank you all. A lot of the stuff that I'm going to go over now couldn't have been done without all of your support and all of your help throughout this session from January to May. So yeah, let's talk about budget. As you guys know, the General Assembly every year has to pass a budget for operating purposes for the next following fiscal year. So this year, before we go into specific numbers on where the budget increases happen and where some of the flat fundings were, I just want to give you guys a quick overview of the state of Illinois' fiscal environment and just kind of go over where the budget was in the beginning and where we ended up with a passing of the budget in May. So if you guys all remember, in February, Governor Pritzker announced his State of the State, where he proposed his fiscal year 26 budget, where it included some cuts, a little bit of investment, and then a $500 million revenue package that needed legislative approval. This was done because of a lot of things that were going on at the federal level in terms of funding with the federal government, and on top of that, ending of a lot of the federal relief funds that we were able to get in the past couple of years. So that's the reason for some of the cuts and some of the minor increases. The proposed budget also needed a balancing of $1 billion gap, and this is including in terms of the projected deficit that FY26 was facing for state of Illinois. So if you combine those two things with his revenue package and the state's deficit of $500 million, the General Assembly had a task of closing about $1 billion gap to pass a balanced budget. So in May 31st, late into the hours of around 11:30 p.m., the General Assembly was able to pass a balanced budget of $55 billion, which is a $2 billion increase from FY25. And this is again accounting the revenue package that was passed as well. And that revenue package had about an $800 million increase of revenue for FY26. But the overall proposed budget had what he projected in his proposal in February. Major cuts to some programs, minor increases to specific areas, and then a overall budget of $55 million. So I just want to give you guys that layout just to let you guys know that even though we didn't get an overall huge increase like we've done in the past couple of years, getting some of the increases that we were able to get this year was a big win. So just want to give that overview so that we can kind of go into some of the specific budget items that we will be going into right now. So this is where we are in terms of where we were asking for as advocates when we were starting in January. So in the beginning of January, when we were advocating for our early childhood programs, we were going to ask for a $330 million overall increase to all of our early childhood programs across the board. That's about an 18.8% increase. Unfortunately, well, I shouldn't say unfortunately. Fortunately, we were still able to get at least $175 million increase to certain early childhood programs, and then maintain level funding for the remaining programs that we weren't able to get increases for. And again, it is something that we should be proud of, that we were able to get some sort of increases to our programs and then not have any cuts going to our other programs. So let me just break down where the $175 million went to and some of the other programs that got level funding. Next slide, Emma. So $85 million of the $175 million increase went towards our child care assistance program. This $85 million will go towards just maintaining the current caseloads that we are experiencing. We've been getting a huge amount of caseloads ever since post-pandemic, and we are at the point where we need to just keep pace with where we are in terms of CCAP enrollment. On top of the enrollment numbers, the $85 million will also go towards a rate increase for home-based providers, which SEIU Healthcare was able to negotiate with the state last year. So last year, they were able to get a $5% increase to their rate. This year will go, they'll get one additional percentage point into that, making it 6%. For their home-based provider rates, and then I believe it's 4% and 3% for the next 2 years. Another exciting part about this is that again, with the increasing caseloads for this past year and projected to go into FY26, the administration and General Assembly were able to put in an additional $75 million for CCAP for FY25. So what that means is that the $75 million that is supplemental increase for FY25 will carry over into FY26. So in a simpler way, if you want to say it this way, or if you want to look at it this way, for FY26 there was a total of $160 million increase to the overall budget, but $85 million for fiscal year 26 and a supplemental for $75 million for FY25. The next pot of money that got some increase of the $175 million increase was our Smart Start workforce grants, or the Smart Start childcare line item. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah, thank you. So for this piece, we were able to get $90 million increase that will go into the Smart Start workforce grants. And again, this is the same scenario as our CCAP situation, where we are using the $90 million to keep pace with what the state has currently been granted out in terms of workforce grants to providers. So $90 million will just keep pace with where we are in terms of making sure that the providers who were awarded grants in FY25 will still be able to get grants for FY26. This is in alignment with what the Department of Human Services projected, that they needed about $90 to $110 million for FY26 to keep pace with the current grantee amount. So we're glad that we were able to get $90 million for our Smart Start workforce grants that will go into FY26. The other two pieces of line items that are in, or programs that are in this line item, which is the quality support grant and the apprenticeship program, they just got flat funding from what it was previously in FY25. And now these next three, I believe four slides I'm going to go over is going to be where we start hitting flat funding areas. For Early Childhood Block Grant, as you guys know, this was a big initiative for the governor when he introduced this Smart Start initiative 3 years ago. He wanted to create 20,000 new pre-K slots to close the so-called childcare deserts. The past 2 years, they were able to invest $75 million additionally each year for FY24 and FY25. Unfortunately, again, with the budget issues, they were not able to get any additional funding for FY26. So the governor is causing this a pause of funding for FY26. What that means is for FY25, I'm sorry, FY27, there's a possibility that we can get more than $75 million for Early Childhood Block Grant. That's not a guarantee. It's not even a guarantee that we will get the $75 million additional, but the pause kind of just gives us a little bit more of a look into FY27 in terms of seeing if we can get additional money, more money than what is projected for that year. Next slide is around early intervention. Same thing with this, flat funding from FY25 to FY26. The one little caveat here is that there was a one-time investment of $10 million from Medicaid dollars that will go into rate increases. The rate increases are shown on the slides in front of you, 5% and 8% for the respective areas of service. So again, this is no new state money to our early intervention program, but a one-time $10 million increase or $10 million investment into providing rate increases for our folks in the EI system. Next slide is our home visiting. Same thing here, just flat funding for home visiting and doula programs. This is something that we've been constantly working on, trying to get more funding into the home visiting program, but tight budget year, it was really hard for us to be able to do that this year. So we'll continue to advocate for that as we look to FY27. I believe this is our last slide for our budget before we go into our legislative substantive bills and what we were able to get passed this year. So the Early Childhood Access Consortium for Equity, if you guys remember, last year we were looking to get about $60 million overall into the budget so that we can stay pace with the current scholarship students that we were able to serve through ARPA money for the past couple of years. Last year, that $60 million we weren't able to get, but we were still able to get a $5 million state investment into our ECA scholarship program. Again, all of our ECA scholarship program and the program itself was funded through ARPA money for the past couple of years. And then with those ARPA money fading out and running out as federal government stopped giving them out, we were able to at least invest $5 million into our ECA scholarship. I say that because we were still able to provide around 700 students with the scholarship, but as you can see, there's still high demand for ECA scholarship this past academic year, where we had about 3,000 people apply for the scholarship within the first 4 weeks that was available. So this year, our goal was to try to get at least $20 million total, which is a $15 million increase to make sure that these folks have the necessary funds to serve the folks who need scholarships. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get the $20 million or $15 million increase. It's something that we were trying really hard. The one thing I will say is that all of our hearings and meetings we had with different caucuses and different members, both Republican and Democratic members were in favor of this program, and they like the idea of putting more money into this program. It's just a matter of where do we get the money to put into the program. So, a little bit of good messaging in that, in terms of that this funding for this is encouraged. It's just we're trying to figure out where we can get the money to fund for the ECA scholarship. So we'll keep continuing to advocate for this and make sure that we have some sort of increase in funding for next fiscal year. I believe that is it. I will pass it over to Crystal to go over some of the legislative bills that were passed that impacts early childhood education.
Thank you, Michael. So we will be starting off with HB 3439, whose lead sponsors were Representative Mason and Senator Johnson. So providers have consistently let us know that licensing functions are not quite functioning as they should be, that there is some processing delays, and there's just a general lack of transparency. So as licensing responsibilities move over to the Department of Early Childhood, Illinois Action for Children partnered with Start Early, decided to introduce HB 3439, which aims to clarify and streamline a lot of these licensing functions. This bill will address a lot of these issues by extending background check renewals from 3 to 5 years, and this will now align with federal guidance, and will hopefully ease administrative burden while still maintaining the safety of children. Additionally, it will codify into law existing DCFS guidance that allow provisional hiring of staff who had completed either an FBI or Illinois State Police fingerprint check. And as long as they are supervised by a staff and are fully cleared with a background check. Overall, this bill hopes to help programs avoid staffing gaps, retain prospective teachers, and give clarity to providers without risk of penalty and maintaining, like I said, the safety of children. You can go ahead and move to the next slide. HB 3327. The lead sponsors were Representative Yang Rohr and Senator Billy Ballum. And this bill improves early intervention referral process for babies born into a neonatal. And what this bill does, it requires NICU staff to initiate a written referral for families whose children are automatically eligible for EI services. Next slide. Senate Bill 1555, whose lead sponsors are Senator Capel and Senator Hirschauer. And this requires the Illinois State Board of Education to include the Department of Early Childhood Secretary to the Advisory Council on the Education of Children with Disabilities. All right. And then HB 3446. This is lead sponsors Representative Canty and Senator Capel. And what this bill does, it helps eliminate the confusion between providers and DCLRs on which courses qualify and which don't, by requiring the Illinois Department of Early Childhood to publish and annually update a list of coursework needed to become a qualified early childhood teacher or director. Next slide. Senate Bill 406, whose lead sponsors are Senator Aquino and Representative Mason. This bill requires the Illinois Department of Early Childhood, IDEC, to establish an early childhood integrated data system, or not requires, it enables them to establish an early childhood integrated system, and this will help them gather, analyze, and share data between the various state agencies that currently manage childcare. This will be in compliance with state and federal requirements and will essentially help the new department to make data-driven decisions and increase transparency. Next slide. And then now I will be passing it back to Michael to just discuss this last legislative slide.
Thanks, Krista. Just one clarification, sorry. Is Rep. Hirschauer, not Senator Hirschauer. Obviously, many of you guys know who Rep. Hirschauer is. I just want to clarify that that was a typo on my end. This last two pieces of information we wanted to share are policy rule changes, one rule change and one resolution around our capital grants that early childhood programs are available to get. So the first one is a new rule that we were working with IDAC and DCFS on in terms of providing interim conditional teachers. This rule will allow childcare centers to have assistant teachers be lead teachers as long as they are in the process of completing their qualifications to be lead teachers. So there's a number of different pathways for a assistant teacher to be a interim conditional teacher. I can share that with you a little bit later. They're very specific and long list of areas that they need to cover. So I'll be happy to share that with you guys all. But this just allows, again, for programs to kind of close the gap of having assistant teachers be lead teachers so that you guys can have more areas for you guys to cover in terms of serving kids. The second piece is a resolution that that our partners over at Click was able to pass this year. And this resolution is very simple. It just makes sure that IDAC prioritizes facility needs and making sure that the current early childhood construction grants that are available goes out to those centers that are in most need, which are community-based organizations. If you guys remember, I believe now it's a year and a half, 2 years ago, where there was about $100 million $100 million of early childhood construction grants available. $60 million of that was allocated or granted out, and 8 programs were selected for that $60 million. Unfortunately, 6 of those 8 programs were school-based programs, and then only 1 was a community-based organization. So we're urging and working with the department and the administration to make sure that the remaining $40 million that is left over from the $100 million will be prioritized for community-based organizations so that they who are in the most need of these facility increases and facility improvements can have access to these grants. So those are the 2 last policy changes. They're not legislative changes, but just policy changes that we will be seeing through some overall rulemaking. I will stop there and then answer any questions before we go to the federal portion that Angela will be doing. I see that Jill has a question. What is the holdup for releasing the 40 million in construction grants? Yeah, so the main issue with the holdup with the $40 million was that there was a legislation that the Jewish United Funds was doing in terms of making sure that programs that lease their property from other nonprofits are eligible to be granted the construction grants as well. So prior to that, rules was that if you're a nonprofit childcare program that is being.
I'm so sorry. I think this might have. Oh, you're fine. They were like,
Okay, sorry. I didn't know if that was a question or not, but so. Basically, it prevented nonprofits who lease from other nonprofits from being eligible to get accepted to be able to get the construction grants. So that was a legislative change that was passed over during veto session, and then they need to make changes to the rules through JCAR process for that to be implemented. So that was the holdup for this past year to get the rules change completed. It is officially posted and the rule change has been submitted and implemented. We just have to work with the department and the administration to make sure that we can get this money out in a reasonable time. So that is our next step. So hopefully in the next year or half a year, by end of this calendar year, we can get some RFPs and NOFAs out for providers to be able to apply for these grants. So that was the holdup, Joe. Happy to answer any other questions, legislative bills or budget related. So feel free to come off mute or put in the chat. We'll give about a minute or so. Right, if there are no questions, which I don't see any questions in the chat. Or actually, I do see one. How do I advocate for early childhood construction grants in the future? In terms of, Brenda, are you talking about in terms of additional funding for the grant, or to be able to get to be eligible for receiving the construction grants?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. We're at the point where we're getting ready to build this facility, and I know that you said that the money had already been allocated. We plan on breaking ground hopefully in 2026.
Mhm.
So I was just wondering if there was a way that I could get on a list or, advocate for that now so that I would be on the radar whenever the time comes.
Got it. Yeah, so unfortunately, I don't have a specific way for someone to be on a list to be prioritized specifically for a center for your own for own specific projects. What we are currently doing with some of our partners is making sure that community-based organizations have some sort of priority in terms of the getting the $40 million. The next step of that is making sure that the NOFO and the RFPs go out to providers as soon as possible so that you guys can start your application and grant application process so that we can get some of this money out as quickly as possible. So in terms of how to get specific priority for your own center, I don't have a real good answer for that. I think the main thing that I would just say is that be on the lookout for any sort of RFP or NOFO that will be coming out, and then we will do our part in letting you guys know when those are available as well. Again, that's the next process of this, talking with the governor's office and IDAC to see how quickly we can get that out to you all.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then Barbara, yeah, so unfortunately, there are no parity rate increases for center-based programs. This is something that we were advocating for in terms of making or in terms of at least getting some sort of a small increase for center-based programs as well. I know that in the past, we've always had there has been a history of parity rate increases for home-based and center-based programs whenever there was this collective bargaining agreement done through SEIU Healthcare and the state. So we are still continue to advocate for that. When the collective bargaining agreement was originally passed and agreed upon, we were advocating very heavily on that piece. So we'll do our due diligence, and hopefully in the next year, if there's additional money that we can get a increase for center-based programs as well. So we know it's disheartening when it's not a parity rate increase, but it's something that we will definitely be working to do next fiscal year as well. All right, I think that is all the questions I see. Again, unless someone wants to come off mute, feel free. If not, I will pass it over to Angela to just kind of go over. Oh, actually, someone just came off mute, I think.
I did have a question about the construction grants for home child care providers. So is that something that they kind of are advocating for, or is it something that has been looked into? Because I have several who would love to use their basement so they can increase their numbers, but because of egress windows, trying to get the funding for that has not allowed them to do so.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Amy. So we actually did last year through some of our work with our coalition partner at Raising Illinois, we were able to get some work in process of trying to get home-based providers to be able to be qualified for getting early childhood protection grants. I think that's something that we're going to continue to do. We haven't really heard much about expanding that to home-based providers. So again, a lot of this is still very fluid and moving, and we are in the trying to get a couple things done first, and then see how we can allocate and advocate for other things at the back end. So that's something that we are considering, Amy. So I don't want you to think that we're not thinking about home-based providers either, but we just got to figure out how to address some of these current needs first. But we will definitely keep you guys all in up to date on some of anything that might be changing. So yeah. All right. So with that, I will pass it to Angela to go over some of what's happening at the federal level, because as you guys all know, there's a lot of things going on there. So pass over to Angela.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, everybody. I think we're running a tiny bit behind on time, but I'll try to be brief, but I know there might be questions on this as well. So I have 2 slides here, and the reason there's 2 slides is there are 2 budget processes happening at the federal level at the same time. So right now, there is the annual every year FY26 appropriations process that is happening, and that is a process that happens every year. And then there is reconciliation, which I'll talk a little bit more about on the next slide. And that is a more unusual process that doesn't happen on a regular basis. These 2 budget processes that are happening at the same time do involve different funding streams. And so trying to be really clear on those funding streams as I speak through this as well. So like I said, this slide is going to talk about the annual appropriations process that's happening at the federal level. So just to level set where we are, the federal budget year, the fiscal year for the federal government, runs from October through September. So it's on a slightly different schedule than our state fiscal year. So right now we are in the federal FY25 budget year. That budget was passed in March and provides level funding through the rest of FY25 through September 30th. We are now starting to negotiate the federal FY26 budget. Again, this is a budget that would technically take effect on October 1st, and so it should be voted on before that time. You all probably most people on this call saw there was some information that was released to the public around what the federal administration, the White House, was proposing in the FY26 budget. And one of the things that was proposed was to eliminate funding for Head Start. And so a lot of folks, our organization, our coalition members, many other members of the community really pushed back, not just in Illinois, but across the country. And we were very, very happy and relieved to find out that when the official budget was released from the federal administration, it did not eliminate Head Start. It is slated for level funding. So that was a really big win, and really shows that when we raise our voices and we speak out and we push back, we can make changes to what's being proposed at the federal level. The other thing I'll flag in that proposed budget is that the Child Care Development Block Grant is also level funded. That is a federal funding stream that supports child care in the state of Illinois, including the CCAP program. So these are level funded right now in the federal administration's proposed budget. Congress is the body who passes the budget every year. So they set the annual appropriation amounts. So now that we have a proposal from the federal administration, Congress will start debating that proposal. And we expect the annual appropriations budget talks and advocacy to really heat up later in the summer. And so please stay tuned and stay alert for advocacy on that. The reason we expect this advocacy to heat up later in the summer is that Congress is also pursuing another budget process called reconciliation. So that's on the next slide, I think. So reconciliation is a process. It's a special legislative process that has been developed. It was passed in law to quickly advance tax, spending, fiscal legislation. This process can be used to address mandatory or entitlement spending. So programs that the appropriation amounts are not developed by Congress every year, they're set in statute. This is a process that does allow Congress to make changes to those in a more streamlined, simplified process. So what's happening with reconciliation? I think we're still unpacking. Honestly, that bill was a large bill. It was passed in the House. There's a lot of elements in it, a lot of very alarming elements. A summary is that essentially to achieve budget targets and pay for tax cuts to continue, as well as increase immigration enforcement and defense spending. There are major cuts to two programs that really impact children and families in our country and in Illinois, and that is Medicaid and SNAP. And there are many other cuts and challenges in that bill. The status of that is that it passed the House later in May, and it's over with the Senate now. There is a deadline that has been sort of publicly communicated of the Senate to pass the reconciliation bill by the 4th of July. That being said, it's in the Senate now. We know changes are actually being discussed right now in the Senate, and the House and Senate do have to agree. So one of the big areas that's happening right now in the Senate that's being discussed is, looking at deeper cuts, shifting more and more costs to the states. So this is a big area of advocacy as well. We in Illinois have 2 senators that do support programs for children and families. But this is just something that we are going to be mobilizing people around, as well as the FY26 budget later in the summer and throughout the summer. So just want to put that in people's ears. Please stay tuned, and later in our webinar, we'll let you know how you can get more involved. But we are really, we are going to be advocating to push back on this, and the more we can slow it down, the better. So, and we know that when we use our voices, we can push back. So that is the update on the federal front. I'll pause here, for questions. Okay. Well, if you think of them, please feel free to put them in the chat. You can also always reach out to us, and we are sharing information about the federal budget landscape through our various communication channels.
All right, so we are about halfway through our allotted hour and a half. So before we go into our deep dive of licensing reform and talking a little bit more in small groups of what is currently working and what needs to be improved, let's take a 5-minute break. If we can come back by no later than 12:50, that would be greatly appreciated. So if you need to take a step out to walk or something, go for it, and we will be back at 12:50. So thank you, everyone. All right, we have about 1 minute, so if we can fully get back to our computers within the next minute, that would be great. All right, it's 12:50. So let's resume and continue for the remainder of 40 minutes so that we can kind of go over licensing reform that the Department of Early Childhood is looking to prioritize. So can we go next slide, Aman? So, as you guys all are now familiar, the Department of Early Childhood, who has been in existence for about a year now, will be starting a second year of its transitional phase. Within this next year, the responsibilities of respective childcare programs that are currently in their legacy agencies like the Department of Human Services, Illinois State Board of Education, the Department of Children and Family Services, will be shifting over to the Department of Early Childhood. So CCAP program, early intervention, home visiting, licensing, and the PFA, PFAE portions of those childcare portions will be shifting over. In the screen in front of you, we have 4 areas of priority that IDAC has been committed to focusing on in the next year as they transition these programs over. As you can see, childcare licensing is one of them, early intervention, funding alignment, and technology advancements. A lot of these have very specific components to it, so I won't go into all of those, but for the purpose of our discussion today, we will be focusing on the childcare licensing priority that IDAC is committed to doing. So next slide. These are some of the areas in which there are some current issues in terms of our licensing functions and processes and just licensing, childcare licensing overall. I know this doesn't capture all of them. I think the purpose of this is just kind of capture the high-level overview of what is the common theme of where there's a lot of frustration and a lot of just a miscommunication of licensing functions between DCFS, the current licensing responsibility department, and childcare providers overall. So a lot of things that we were hearing are communication and transparency, or the lack thereof, technology improvements in terms of a lot of the websites that currently exist, inadequate structures and support, inconsistent in clarification of rules and legislation, and lack of streamlining overall processes. So these are some of the areas that we would like to kind of get your input and your feedback from. Before we do that, I just want to share this little roadmap to just kind of give everyone an overview of where the process of licensing reform is currently happening at IDAT. So the Department of Early Childhood has partnered with the Civic Consulting Alliance, a consulting group, to help them facilitate and work in terms of gathering information and hoping to reform licensing that will be a better process for both the providers and the licensing reps and overall licensing program in general. So as you can see, right now, CCA has been engaging with a lot of different community partners and through advocacy advisory councils and different other council groups and things of that nature. So they're gathering information from the bigger collective group of council members, and then they will be doing more on the ground grassroots advocacy as well. So again, I mentioned this in the beginning of our webinar that you guys all should have gotten some emails around listening sessions from Anne Whalen of wanting to hear from community partners and from the field of where the current gaps are, current issues are, and make sure that they can gather all of this information so that they can collect this and hopefully use them to provide a more a better licensing processes and reform what is currently in structure right now. So in those listening sessions will happen at the end of June. We'll provide those dates and links to it at the end of our webinar today. And then they'll provide some more listening sessions in July, August, and then hopefully by September, they'll have some recommendations and areas where they feel that they can make some changes to the licensing structure overall. And hopefully before spring 2026 legislative session starts, that they'll be in the process of making some of these changes. So with that said, we would love to break you off all into some breakout rooms so that we can discuss these 4 main questions that are up on our screen in front of you. We will put them into the chat so that you all have the questions in front of you so that we can go ahead and answer them. So feel free to take a quick look, gander at the questions now while we're setting up the breakout rooms. But we're going to take about 15 to 20 minutes in these breakout rooms to just, again, share all of your concerns, feedbacks, or anything that you might want to let us know so that we can collect all of this information and then provide it to IDAC as well. So if you kind of want to think about it, this is a little bit of a mini listening session prior to the full listening sessions at the end of June. So yeah, I will let Aman set up these breakout rooms, and then we will get started. All right, I know we came back. Just a quick question. Did we need more time or were we able to get through most of the questions? I know for us, we weren't able to get through all of them, but if others were able to do it, then I'm happy to move on to the next thing. But it would be nice to have like 5 minutes additional. Would that work or? I'm seeing a lot of head nods.
We were
Okay.
really getting to question 3.
Okay, sounds good. So let's do this. So we will go to 120. So we'll give people some more time, go back into our breakout rooms, and then we will just adjust a little bit at the end of our remaining 10 minutes. So Aman, if you can bring us back in, that would be great. Thank you so much. So we'll come back at 120, everyone. All right, I think everyone is slowly coming back in. Thank you all for taking the time to participate in this breakout room. Again, a lot of the information that you guys shared, we will collect all of them and then collaborate all of them into one document that we can send to IDAC and give them some of the inputs that we were able to get from you all. So we appreciate that, and hopefully a lot of these things that you guys have raised and brought up is something that IDAC will definitely take into consideration and make these changes to make your lives a lot easier than what it currently is. So we have 9 minutes left. One other thing that we wanted to do real quick was to just kind of get your input and survey on some of the internal stuff that we are working in at Illinois Action for Children. So I will let Crystal share the next slide, and then we'll take about oh, actually, yeah, thanks, Aman. Sorry, this is my fault. So again, as mentioned, we will be the Illinois Department of Early Childhood will be doing listening sessions for you all to join. The dates are 6/23 and 6/26. The first one is during the day from 12 to 1:30, and the second one is in the afternoon from 5 p.m. to 6:30. Again, this is a bigger listening session that they would like to get input from the field and to get to make sure that they have information on what is currently functioning in the licensing world and then what is not. So these are the dates. We will send all of this out to you guys if you guys don't have the information, and there should be links into these as well. Now I will transition over to Crystal to share a little bit about our e-advocate newsletter.
Hello. Yes, so Illinois Action for Children does have a monthly newsletter, which is e-Advocate. Many of you may probably already be subscribed to it. Many of you may not be. If you're not, I do recommend that you do so. We do share updates on advocacy and policy updates, but we just wanted to take this opportunity to get your input on how we can better engage you and improve our monthly newsletter. So in the chat, I will link a mural, which is a digital bulletin board. When you click on it, you will see 4 squares that have 4 different questions asking, what IFC monthly newsletter content do you find most helpful? What content do you wish IFC monthly newsletter would include? What type of advocacy action do you like to take? And what can IFC monthly newsletter do to further support early childhood education and childcare? You can click on any of the 4 squares, double click on it, and a sticky note will appear, and you can type away your comment. If you have any issues, please let me know. But yes, if you can just give us your input, this would greatly help us improve our monthly newsletter.
So we'll take about a minute or so for you guys to put your suggestions in there. And then we will keep this open. So if you guys just have the link, feel free to come back at a later time, later today, maybe this week, to put any suggestions or feedback that you might have. So we'll keep this open. So I don't want you guys to rush and try to answer all 4 questions within the next minute or two. But I just want to give you guys access to the mural so that you guys can come back and answer these questions when you guys have time. So we'll give you 2 minutes right now, and then we'll move on to our last 4 minutes of our scheduled time.
And then I see a couple of you guys are already on the link. Like I said, you'll just want to click on whichever question, like any square that you want to input into it. You just double click, a little sticky note will appear, and you can just start typing it in. You can either put your name in there as well to let us know who you are, or you can make it anonymous. But yeah, let me know if you have any issues with it. And like Michael said, if you don't have time to fill it out right now, you can fill it out at a later time.
All right, with this last 4 minutes, we'll just do a quick ways for you guys to stay engaged, and then some information on veto session. But before we do that, I just want to give you guys a quick takeaway of what we just went over for the last hour and a half. So again, IDAC is very committed to reforming and making the licensing process better for providers and throughout the state. So we will definitely keep in touch and figure out how we can all be in participation to make sure that a lot of these changes do happen and is equitable and effective for providers. Budget, as we mentioned, tough year. Next year, we'll see where we currently stand as a state. From what we've been hearing, it might just stay the same or it could get worse. So we'll keep you guys informed on some of the budget information that we will continue to hear. Other ways to engage is a lot of these listening sessions that are happening through the Department of Early Childhood. You guys can go to the website and they are pretty good about updating the next couple of meetings. A lot of the smaller listening sessions or subcommittee meetings that they might be having, and the Transition Advisory Council as well. So feel free to join those. I think if you get our e-advocate or if you're in the We the Village newsletter, you should be getting that information in those respective newsletters that we send out to you all. And then lastly, I know Advocacy Day is a little bit far away, it's next year, but I think we always love having you all down there and advocating for all the important things that need to be advocated for in terms of early childhood programs and funding and things of that nature. So all the other ways you guys can get involved, but definitely think about coming down to Advocacy Day next year if you have never been or if you want to come back again. And then the next slide is just a quick update of veto session. This year, veto session will be in October, the week of the 14th and the week of the 28th. So if there's anything pressing that we think that you guys need to know, we'll definitely share that out to you guys all as veto session goes on in October. I am going to pass over to our Assistant Director of Advocacy, Naoma, and have her share a little bit about We the Village with you all.
Thanks so much, Michael. I'll try to be quick. Just to give you a quick overview, my name is Naomi Nagahawata. I'm the Assistant Advocacy Director at Illinois Action for Children, and I manage the We the Village Coalition. Our coalition is a statewide coalition of families, caregivers, early educators, providers, school districts, faith-based groups, nonprofits, and we champion transformational change, equity-driven change for Illinois' early childhood education and care system. We work to deliver policy wins, safeguard public investments, secure fair compensation for the workforce that build children's futures, and we urge you to join us and join the work that we're doing, which includes Advocacy Day, as Michael mentioned. And so to do so, the first step is to sign up. We'd like you to sign up to start receiving information with regard to upcoming advocacy opportunities, meetings, and developments in the field. In addition, we would urge you to register to join an upcoming town hall where we'd be discussing a year of IDEC. We'll be joined by Illinois Department of Early Childhood administrators, as well as folks from the field. It'll take place on July 15th from 12 to 1:30 p.m. I'll drop all of this information into the chat. And lastly, if you're interested in getting trained on how to do advocacy or issue-based trainings, or you're interested in onboarding and learning more about the coalition, contact me and I'm happy to set something up. So again, everything that I mentioned, you can find in the chat in about 1 minute, but please feel free to reach out to me with any questions that you might have. And we urge you to join our work and start doing the advocacy that will make a difference as we move forward in Illinois. So thank you so much. Go ahead, Mike.
Thanks, Naomi. It's 1:30. It is the end of our webinar, so appreciate you all taking the time to join us. Our information and email is on the screen, and I think I put my info in there, and then I believe Crystal put hers there as well. But it's just first name, period, last name, and actforchildren.org if you need access to our emails. Thank you all again. We really appreciate you guys taking the time to join us, and hopefully the information that was shared today was good for you guys, and you guys take that to your respective folks. So have a great rest of Wednesday, and happy Juneteenth to everyone for tomorrow if you celebrate it. And yeah, and have a good summer, and we will see you all soon. Thank you all.